So where was I? The next one was Body Bags from 1993. This was intended to be Showtime's response to Tales from the Crypt, which was on HBO. They produced 3 episodes and ended up canning the whole thing and instead released what they had as a movie. John Carpenter serves as the host. He also directed 2 of the segments. The other one was directed by Tobe Hooper. There are several cameos from other directors such as Sam Raimi, Wes Craven, Roger Corman. Effects wizard Greg Nicotero does a cameo in this, and it's actually a top-notch horror anthology. I strongly recommend this one. Cargo. This is the first modern zombie movie I've watched in ages. I have kind of given up on that genre. I feel like it's just time for a really extended break. Everybody's always trying to put their twist on it. This movie doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. It's more so about these characters and the story, and it will tug at your heartstrings. It's actually a pretty good movie. Next, I watched the 1972 original as well as the 2009 remake of The Last House on the Left. The 72 version is Wes Craven's first movie. You have to start somewhere, but this is a little bit messed up. For the 70s, must have come off as nothing more than a stag film. It was criticized for being too graphic, and honestly, I kind of agree. The remake seems to be a little more than this sort of cash grab, using the name recognition, but it's a vastly superior movie. Although it follows the same general synopsis, it is a much more coherent movie. The execution is just all around much better than the original. So every year, I always watch at least one Frankenstein movie, and this year I decided to watch the 2007 British made-for-TV version. I've seen so many of them where people try to take a modern twist on the old Frankenstein story, and it just falls flat. This one wasn't bad at all. Not only is it inspired by the 1818 book, but it's also inspired by the 1816 Mount Tambora eruption, which resulted in what they call the Year Without a Summer. So all of the outdoor shots have this red haze due to the volcanic ash. Our doctor in this is a female who has a son that is terminally ill. She is also a scientist working in stem cell research, and unbeknownst to her colleagues, she tries to clone her son. So it starts off strongly, but it does wear thin rather quickly, and I've got to say I don't really recommend this one. It's only for the die-hard Frankenstein fans. I won't do it, no! Mark of the Vampire. I love the Universal monster movies, but I've seen them all so many times, and I'm always looking for a good replacement to that every Halloween, and this one was recommended by several people. A friend of mine said that it aired on TV, and I thought I had missed it, but it turned out Turner Classics did play it again. Of all those Universal movies, Dracula's Daughter is the one I just have never been able to get into. This serves as a suitable replacement to that. They're not so subtle that they're trying to cash in on Dracula. This actually stars Bela Lugosi as the vampire in it. And I actually wouldn't mind watching the Dracula series with this in place of Dracula's Daughter. So definitely a thumbs up on this movie. The Flesh and the Fiends from 1960. This is praised for being a very accurate retelling of the story of Dr. Robert Knox, who is most notorious for the Burke and Hare murders of 1828 Scotland, in which these 2 men murdered people and sold the corpses to this doctor so he could dissect them at his anatomy lectures. This is based on true events. It stars Peter Cushing as well as a very young Donald Pleasance. The Euroshock DVD release of this contains both versions, including the Continental version, which is more uncut. I recommend watching that version. This is a really solid movie, but it does sort of drag on a little bit. And then finally, I watched Halloween. Not that one. Not that one either. Yeah, the 2018 version. A couple years ago, I did an episode of Worst to First, so I'm not going to dive too deep into this one. I told you all about the whole series and gave you my thoughts. But this is the first time I've watched this version since seeing it in the theater. And I gotta admit, when I first watched it, I felt a little underwhelmed. It didn't quite live up to my expectations, but it was one of those movies I just couldn't stop thinking about after seeing it. And usually that happens for a reason. I came to the conclusion that it made sort of an impact on me. And I was excited to rewatch it, and I feel like it's solid. It's not the best. I wouldn't criticize anybody if they said it's the second best Halloween movie. I still think it has one of, if not the best soundtracks in the series, which was done by John Carpenter and his son. And ending with Halloween, be it the original or this version or whatever, is just a solid way to end the 31 movies. So that does it for this year.
Me axe makes me. Is kanzungsrecht. Analogim. Naip.